Hey YouTube, what is up? I found out some information on for heel pain, for like fasciitis and stuff like that. If you're on your feet like 8 to 9 hours a day and you're want to do something for your feet, Epsom salt is one of them that you can do. If you take a Epsom salt bath, it helps, get the tension out, and it helps with the swellingness and stuff like that. Number one thing is to get like a tennis ball. Um, Use a tennis ball to massage the heel part, and to they say they ice it as well. Get like a water bottle, put it in the freezer, let it ice overnight or something. Then the next day, use the ice bottle as the massaging part to ice it down. It's kind of like have your foot and you just roll back and forth on your heel to get the swelling and the tension down on it. I haven't done the ice part, but I have done the tennis ball part. The other night, right before my workout, I spent probably about a full 30 minutes in my room, sitting on my bed. It's kind of like doing the massage on my foot with the tennis ball and on the bottom of my heel. Because I think what I really have, I don't think it's really a sprained ankle. I just think it's just fasciitis, just being on it too much throughout all my life. We're always on our feet constantly, no matter what we do. But I am no doctor. I am no doctor at all. But just learned about my body over the years on certain things, and with the operations that I have been under, some things I do think it is part fasciitis. Some of it, I did have a doctor tell me was, he did do an X-ray. He did a deep X-ray a long time ago. He did say I have fasciitis, and I asked him. I said, "Will the surgery work?" He says, "Not really. It don't really cure it, but it is still there. But it won't. It'll help it not hurt as bad if you do it." And I told myself, well, I'm not wanting the operation because how am I supposed to know if it ain't gonna work? So I just think with just massaging it in once in a while with the tennis ball and doing some stretches for it and stretches for my ankle, do calf leg raises on like body weight calf leg raises where you just rise on your toes, and that helps strengthens it. And I do like a lot of leg squats, and I do like lunges. That somewhat helps it. Hamstring stretches, like any type of leg stretches will help it, from hurting so much. Um, but no, like, if it starts to hurt really bad, there's no like jumping around on it. But you can do exercises on it, but you just can't like move around like a fighter would. You can still do exercise on, which I learned now. And me, I like to train the fighting arts, and I learned the other night right before my workout, maybe massaging that foot did do the trick. So I learned that from another friend. She had the same problem as me, well, not with the feet. And I learned from her, she said she had a lot of heel pain and everything with her feet and just being on concrete all day and stuff like that at the job where we work at. And she said, I just use a tennis ball and just massage it. And she said, I'll just massage it like every other night. And says just don't massage it all the time, but it's like massage it like when it starts to bother you really, really, really bad, they'll get that tension down. They're letting them know, okay, I'm taking care of the problem, and so on and so on. So I took her advice, so it really helped, and so my butt is still doing so and so. It's healing. Man, it's healed 100%, but still from not fully strengthened yet from the sprain I had on it a while back. It's not still strong yet from that, from being healed, but it is healed all the way. The strength, sprain itself, but it's just getting it back into shape on the way it was. That's always been the hardest on me from coming from the combat on that, which I never give up on anything in life because if I get hurt, I still get back up. That's just on how I am. But when come to think of being being a martial artist, you learn to heal your body when you get injured because you want to stay active in your sport and you want to stay active in the ways you do in your sport or the way you do things in fitness because you want to rest your body to let it heal. Because if you keep doing the things you do, it ain't ever going to heal. So I still do treatments for it, even though it's healed all the way. But when it starts to hurt, like due to the weather or something, then I treat it, like I have a sprain myself, but I don't let it bother me too bad, and I'll just use that tennis ball to massage it. That's what all athletes do for their feet anyway, or for their muscles anyway anymore nowadays because they have equipment out there that helps out with massaging the pressure points, acupuncture, and stuff like that. And which I think is kind of odd they come out with the stuff out now, which they should have came out with it a long time ago when everybody was still in the sport game. They should have came out with it a long time ago, but yet they did not have the technology a long time ago like we do now to be able to make the things that they do. Back then, we didn't have technology as we did. Because today's society, nowadays anymore, uh, it's evolving so much that most people don't realize on how bad and fast on how it's evolving. And let me ask you this, guys. Let's say, how did we evolve from being cavemen? That's right. I had a friend ask me this once. I couldn't come up with the answer. But the only answer I can give him on what I thought, and he thought I was right on it, but I said, well, the only thing I could think of on the topic on that question is like, well, he said it like this. He's like, how do we become from cavemen, from building things around us that we have today, into being civilized as what we are today and to now. And I came up with one good answer for him, and I thought on it really hard before I just blabbed it out. And I told him, I said, well, one reason why how we became from being cavemen to evolving now is that we learned to survive with our instincts on what I thought was right on what to do with, and we learn to build things, learn to do things with our minds, because that's like on the last video I did about training our minds. This is where I'm getting at with it, is that most people nowadays, that's how we learn, is from our minds, just because that's how we evolved from the cavemen. It's because we learn from what we've been taught through our ancestors. We know how to hunt. We know how to fish. We know how to drive a car. You know, if you're a guy, you know how to pick up chicks. You know, if you're a woman, you know how to pick up a man. It's just because it's on our survival instincts on how we've been taught throughout life, because it's a repeating process through time. Only thing I say is that the reason why we have the stuff today is because, you know, the electricity. Albert Einstein, he was science. Benjamin Franklin, due to the light bulb. Um, One of the fifth presidents of the United States, Benjamin Franklin. That's the reason why he's on the $5 bill, because he was the fifth president of the United States of America. Because he was the one that invented the light bulb. Albert Einstein is the one that invented electricity and science. Those two were the only ones how we kind of really evolved in the past. Now, if you really want to get technical, if you want to go back to the ancient times, back in the Bible area, well, Eve was the first person that made man fall from society, because God created them both as equal, because He wanted to create them as in His own image. Well, the thing of it is, in Adam and Eve, they tendency to Adam and Eve deceived Adam, gave him the fruit of the tree of in the Eden garden, which Adam took of and thought it was food, because all he was thinking was, hey, if she says it's good to eat, I'm gonna take it because she's the only person I'm with, and I need to eat to gain my strength up. But she did not know it was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But really, technically, that's how we really that's how we really strive to survive. It's because it's on our instincts. We learn to better ourselves. We learn with our minds. We learn on how to do things with our minds, because, like I said in my last video, you know, that's how we get around, is our mind, because our mind is the general that leads the army, and our body on our body. That's right. The mind is the general that leads the army and our body. It controls the army. It pauses the army. It makes the army fire when it needs to be fired. Makes the army command. Thing of it is, what I'm saying is all about survival. Survival of the fittest. That's how we live. Due to instincts. Due to being tough. Due to being great. Due to being yourself. Not being somebody else you ain't. But if you really want to come down to it, but that's how we learned was from those people back then, because they didn't have much to go by. They went by with what they had back then. Back then they had books. Back then, they didn't have a computer from say, okay Google, let me where do I find this? No, they didn't have that. They didn't really have much books back then either, because it was so hard to find for people to make books up for like storytelling books back then, because that was the only source of learning on how they got to grow as a person is through imagination on where they want to become at today. That's right. Imagination on where they want to become at today on what they did back then in life, because that's how God created them, or wherever you believe in created it. Now, if you believe in the anarchy's religion, where if you want to say, you know, the Bible ain't really telling us all, but there is a higher power above God Himself, which I don't think that. I just think on what I've been taught is that there's only one God. There's no God above. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Thought somebody was here. Um, but there's only one God above. There ain't two gods above. There's only one. He's the one that controls our destination. He's the one that controls our people. If you're in His salvation, if He's seen that you've been saved, and He knows you're doing the right thing, then you'll make it up into His world of heaven. Right now, as I see it, we're in purgatory right now. I forgave myself for all the sins I have done in the past of the roads. I asked for forgiveness to Him on things I have done in the past, but there are still demons inside me that still want them, things that I've done in the past. But I don't go down that road because I know better, because I know I'll be judged by the time I die. But the thing is, this is what people ask me. How do you know if there is a heaven and if there is a hell? Heaven to me is being up in the white clouds, being pure white, streets of gold, angels singing. Hell to me is more like blood, turmoil, torture, hatred, fires, demons coming after you. But on how we become as people today, as we are today, in today's society, on how much electronics that we have evolved from, our society is moving so fast and people can't control it. And one of these days, the way I see it, the internet is going to shut down eventually. One of these days, everybody's going to be freaking out because there ain't no internet. We'll just have to be going back to the old way of learning. That's the reason why I try not to get on the internet that much. Because all it is repeat and repeat on topics, repeat and repeat on stories, repeat and repeat on videos, music, you know, whatever, in that same category over and over and over. Just talked in a different way, but people try to make it better for themselves in their way of point of view. And that's the thing. Because people are too afraid to come up with some other idea of themselves on what they want to talk about, but they want to get it off somebody else's opinion on where they became of and where the topic came from. My videos that I talk about on my channels, on my motivation blogs, they're all coming from me. They ain't coming from somebody else. Because I say on how I feel. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't fucking sugarcoat because that's not how I am. I tell the truth. I tell on how I feel. If I had a shitty day, yeah, I'll tell you. Hey, I had a shitty day. Or I didn't fucking sleep very well last night. And I'll tell you. And if it hurts your feelings on how I tell you, then oh well. And if it does, I'm sorry. But me, it's gonna come down to that. The internet will probably shut down eventually in the future, where they probably won't even have internet anymore. Or uh, they won't have electricity in the future. They'll just go back to the old ways of living, caveman style, reverse time. And if that happens, just let me ask you this: how would you handle it? How would you handle surviving without electricity? How would you handle surviving without the internet? I bet none of y'all can't even last one day without the dang internet, not even your phones in your hands. I know I can because I've done it. Because I took time to reflect on myself. Now I can learn to deal and not to be on it. That's right. Because internet is internet. This is a possession of things that people think they ought to have. That's the case with items like Xbox, PlayStations, and all that. They're coming out with it where it needs the internet to be able to work. But most people want the Xbox, but they can't afford the internet. Well, which one you better have, the internet or the Xbox? Well, you gotta make a choice. You know, you can't have both at the same time. Well, you can get the internet first, and maybe later on down the road get the Xbox. But all I'm saying is, quit relying too much on the internet for everything. Quit relying too much on the internet for your source operating things. You know, be regular about things and go old fashioned once in a while. It doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt to live normal for once in a while instead of being like everybody else. Have time to reflect on yourself, onto others. There was a thing I came across on Facebook the other day. It had Denzel Washington says it says nobody wants to be around a person that has bad vibes, and bad moods because of the demons they are carrying. And Denzel Washington, he's a very, very smart man. I don't know him personally myself, but I would like to meet the man if I could. And I would like to have a conversation with him. But that'll never happen. Because I come to realize that's the reality of truth. That's that's the dream. One of my other dreams I would like to meet is Denzel Washington himself, because he's a good black actor. And I liked him in Training Day. I liked him in The Book of Eli. The Book of Eli is like my number one movie of his. Um, Unstoppable, the train movie of his. What was that one where he just recently made? Um, or he's kind of living in the ghetto or whatever, ghetto old time, and his son is wanting to be um, great and all. He tells his son, I don't have to like you. I can't remember the name of that movie, but he started that one really. But I'm not talking about movies. I'm talking about how we evolved from today's society and from the past. To me, it's all about survival. Because that's how men and women survive, was on how they think and how they train their minds and to be strong, to be able to survive out in this world because that's all they ever care about is surviving out in this world. That's right. Militaries, branches, they go through the same thing. Go through new training regiments. Fighters go through new training regiments for different fighters in the ring. So because they want to get the upper hand on their opponent on their fight, and they want to get the upper hand on their enemy because they're trained for that. Because it's basically on how they survive. Always be different. That's all I say. Always be different and be yourself on who you are because that's all about surviving. Because if you ain't yourself, everybody's gonna know you're fake. Everybody's gonna know you're fake that they ain't gonna want to be around you because you ain't yourself. If you're yourself, be you. Don't be somebody else you ain't. Be you that comes from the heart. Who cares what people think? Don't be the weakest link out of that group. Be the strongest link out of that group. Because the thing of it is, if you let people think that you are weak all the time, that you can't handle things, on your own, then they ain't really gonna respect you. They're gonna say, "Oh, he's just a man. Oh, he's just a boy. No, he don't know what he's talking about." Well, you get it off your chest. What you gotta say. If you get it off your chest on what you gotta say about life, about anything, you gotta say how it is. Because if you don't, and if you don't look at the person around the eye and tell them how it is, they're always gonna think that you're gonna be weak. Me, I don't sit behind a keyboard. I don't sit behind a camera and tell the person off. I would go up to that person and I'll tell them what I think because that's on base of survival. You get knocked down, get back up. But never throw in the towel of life because, like I said, we don't give up. We level up. It's like a game, when you're playing a game, trying to get to the next level, and you know you've done good because you beat that level, you want to continue on to the next one and win it, and you level up your character and make him stronger or her stronger in the game, then you realize, okay, your character has become more mature and they level up and they get more stronger no matter how bad they get knocked down. Because you're in charge of a character in the game that the person has created. But it's like with you in your own chapter in life, you're in charge of it because of the choices you make in your own self. That's right. You're in charge in your own life of in the choices that you make of your own self. Nobody else ain't. Nobody else can tell you can't do this. Nobody else can tell you can't do that. You're your own person. You're your own person because nobody else can control you. That's right. Nobody can control you because we had our freedom a long time ago. That was the Independence Declaration of Independence. That's how we got our freedom from the wars back then. It's because that's our freedom. We fought for our freedom, for our country, for the God of the United States of America and this flag that shines on our flag posts out in our yards. That's all I'm saying for right now. I do honor the troops that help support our people and our nation that fight for our country. I do help support different branches, military, Marines. Even I even help support police officers in the line of duties. Even the ones that have fallen in the line of duties, I help support them. And like I said, just you know, respect them. Even if they don't respect you, still respect them because they do their jobs, and they do care for our people. You know, and they do care for our country, and they help our citizens out. But respect the law, respect on what you do, and respect the people around you because you know this is how I see it. You know, if you show respect as to other people as they do unto you, be treated on how you want to be treated because you wouldn't want somebody to treat you bad. Man, if you treated somebody else bad, you don't want to be treated bad back. That's how I see it. So show respect to one another. Help the other brother or sister out. If you see them in help and need of help, just help them out if you can. Just be yourself, but help them out. Because show your heart, show the love for everybody. Um, Basically, just be you 100% and enjoy life and go with the flow of life and try to find your own balance in it and to make peace with yourself and your mind and stay tranquil and God bless on a beautiful rainy Saturday and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.